one of the things I remember Bhagwan saying was he stopped in the middle of a talk about something else. And he looked at the group of people, and it was about 1,000 of us in India at the time.
Mm.
It was an event for sure.
Mm.
And he said, I'm carefully sculpting each one of you
Mm.
to be a particular type of enlightened being. And what I took that to mean then was that the experiences I was having was somehow just meant for me,
Mm.
and that somehow would help shape me in a way so that the way I represented the divine that he was giving me would be a particular way. And
Mm.
that way would be different for Coralee, for instance, right? And everybody else, because
Mm.
each of us, and so I find myself when I describe it, and to other people who are in this process, I say, well, it's kind of like if the goal is to have 81,000 people worldwide receive this gift, then it's kind of like if we put us all together, it's like an 81,000 faceted diamond. And the light in the middle is the same, but how we reflect that light is different 81,000 times because
Mm.
we all reflect the light slightly different one to the other.
Mm.
And to me, that's what he's doing. That's why every piece is perfect. Every process is perfect. And every enlightened being is perfect because together we make something which is, you know, immeasurably powerful and capable of transforming the entire planet. That's why I have such reverence for the day-to-day of it, because I realize that process of sculpting me is never going to end. It's sort of like being a white-haired Alice in Wonderland. You know, you know what I mean? I'm the senior citizen of the Alice in Wonderland troupe, right? Where, you just don't know what's around the next corner. The sense
Mm.
of magic and mystery and almost excitement about it, because
Yeah.
you know it's going to be wonderful, but it's
Mm.
also going to be brand new,
Yeah.
you know.
I love.
Absolutely.
Isn't
Mhm.
that great? The gem you just came up with that I've never
Yeah.
heard one before. 81
That's just
faceted diamond.
so, so beautiful. It's such a glorious analogy. Yes. But I don't
We
agree, John. You're not a senior.
no, he is definitely not a senior.
No. Just so beautiful.
And it's such a joy for us. We are Deeksha Yajna organizers, and
Mm.
it used to be a geographical thing, but now our
Mm.
people are all the way from St. Lucia
Mm.
to Mexico to
Canada.
Boston,
Yeah.
Canada, yeah,
Mm.
everywhere.
Mm.
So we get together with them once a week, and whoever can come shows up. I think we had 40 or 30,
Almost 40 last
40
night. Yeah.
yesterday.
Beautiful. Mm.
And we just let people talk, and
Mm.
share miracles or share where they're having their issues. And it's so satisfying for us to
Mm.
see the growth over
Mm.
the years of these now family members for us,
Yeah.
and to see where they've been and where they've come and what they're sharing with others. It's so
Yeah. And
remarkable.
that's why the relationship part is so
Yes,
rewarding.
yes.
We've had a chance to know some of these people for 8 or 10 years, way
Wow.
before the dawn of the 81,000 Deeksha Yajna program.
Sure.
We've known them as part of Oneness for a long time. They don't appreciate it the way we do it because we've seen them change so dramatically over that time. It's a beautiful place to be in because we have the honor of watching Amma and Bhagwan change these people almost in spite of themselves. You know, they mumble and complain and have questions and all of the stuff that people do in response to how life evolves, and yet they come out just fine. Every single episode has a happy ending because they look back and there's some little thing that makes their life better in a way. Maybe it's just a little more confidence. Maybe it's the end of some daunting health condition that they've been plagued with most of their life, or maybe it's a relationship that never seemed to get better, and suddenly it's okay now. Just like that. Particularly amazing is that for most people, it's when they stop trying to fix it themselves that the real magic occurs.
Yes.
It's almost as if an attempt by people to do something, even in the name of supporting Amma Bhagavan, out of respect or for feeling somehow that they should sort of help the process, almost that it gets in the way, and that the real progress occurs when they just sort of just stop doing and let Amma and Bhagwan do what they came here to do, and that's take a very tiny select group of people and turn them into the means by which the great compassionate light can manifest on this earth and change the quality of everyone's existence. That's really been the situation. Everybody sort of has to get to a point, and lots of times it's not in a moment of crisis. It's in the wake of some experience, some event that sort of pushes them to the edge, where things become so confusing, so complex, so overwhelming in its intensity that their brain and mind and whatever, just for a moment, just stops. And whether they consciously make the decision or not, the net result is the same, because in that moment they sort of give up and stop trying. When that happens, that simple act of surrender or acceptance, whatever you want to call it, allows Amma Bhagavan to sort of step into their heart and fix things permanently. Where before, the mind would get in the way and mess the whole thing up. And that's where we see real change occurs. That's, to me, has been one of the cool things that happen.
What's interesting, I just realized, is that we used to have these meetings at our home in Fairfield, Iowa, and we'd have 30 people there several times a week for sacred chambers or Deeksha circles or whatever. And then COVID hit, and then everything went online, and all our relationships are via online anymore.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. We can sit here on our little island and be so connected with people all over the world, like you, here you are in Spain, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And then when we do see you in person, when we're in India, it's like, oh my God, it's so exciting to see you in the flesh,
Yes.
and to give hugs.
So true. What you're doing is wonderful, Coralee and John, because you're holding the space and supporting
Yeah.
for those who needed the help.
We're so grateful that we have this, the times, everything.
One of the things that speaks to the process, which I think ties in again to the question that you had about the benefits, and where I go back to relationships. One of the principal things that happens between the two of us, as well as with the community, is that we realize that the process of evolution, to create a context briefly, Bhagwan has said that his goal is to allow us to have the experience of realizing that we are the all that is. Okay? And that the source for this entire phenomenal creation, we are that alone. While everything in the outer world is an expression of that very same thing, he said he would give us that experience, that would become the nature of our life. Well, when I realized now that he's not creating a mental picture, he's talking about a fact. He's not just creating an illusion or a concept. He's talking about the nature of the existence that he lives and that he's able to give to us. So it's not a story, it's a reality that he is literally giving to the people of this program. In the vernacular, that's a big mouthful of ideas here. Well, what that means is that the way in which we develop, the way in which our consciousness expands is literally infinite. So that means that in my case, it's way above my current pay grade for me to perceive to perceive 90% of what he's doing. So most of the transformation is happening all the time in a way that I'm not able to see now and maybe never will. So what that means is that that's true of all the people in our community. So we see our job as somehow mirroring back to these people to help them understand in terms of their own personal experience just exactly how they have changed, both over time and also in terms of what a particular experience that they're talking about means in terms of how that relates to something that Bhagavan has talked about in terms of the characteristics of the enlightened gift that he's giving. Oftentimes, that's the difference between someone being at peace with the process of growing in all these myriad of different ways, or getting caught up in the mind of not being able to understand and therefore not being able to recognize and see what's happening. We have had in our little tiny group, and it has nothing to do with us, but it's interesting that out of the people who've received the gift in North America now, the last 5 of them have been in our group.
Wow.
I don't know if we've got the right idea, or that Bhagavan is doing that for reasons that I don't understand now. We've watched these people change, and most often it's their own recognition of being able to look at their life and see, oh, wow, this has happened, and this has happened, and this has happened, and this has happened. Where in terms of our relationship, that's what I'm going back to that idea. It's the relationship we have with them that allows us for them to feel comfortable enough in talking about what's going on with them so that we can literally mirror back to them a way in which they can see the progress that they're making, that's being made in their own life. And that's why it's so much fun, because it's the sense of awe and magic and power that's intrinsic with the nature of what's happened to these people is a constant. Whenever we're in touch with them, we begin to really see how there is absolutely nothing that Sri Amma and Bhagavan cannot do to change people into the kind of people that they need to keep this planet from messing itself up. And to watch them do it over and over again, I find myself literally and figuratively on my knees, because I realize I've got front row seats to the transformation, front row seat to the transformation of mankind.